Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. While we're all logging in from different locations, I'd like to acknowledge that our college is located on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and other Indigenous peoples who have lived on the land. It's my pleasure to welcome you to GB Connects. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge a number of special guests who are joining us virtually today, including Chancellor Noella Milne, Chancellor Emeritus Sally Horsfall-Eaton, members of the Board of Governors of George Brown College, members of the Foundation Board of Directors, and members of the Student Association. Thank you as well to all of our employees from across the college for logging in. While back to school looks very different this year, I'm glad you could be here to help kick off the fall semester. As we go through today's presentation, I encourage you to connect with your colleagues through social media. When you hear something interesting or inspiring, why not continue the conversation online using the hashtag GBConnects? We hope that our first fully virtual GB Connects will run smoothly for everyone, but if you have any technical issues, don't worry. They may be due to your local connection and will hopefully only last a short time. We are also recording this event and will share the recording with everyone in an upcoming issue of @GBC. So if any tech problems persist, you'll have another opportunity to watch. Now let's get started. 2020 has been a year of unprecedented challenges and rapid change, both for our college and for the world around us. But it has been a time of resilience, adaptability, and creative problem solving, especially at George Brown. When the COVID-19 pandemic required everyone to quickly transition to learning and working remotely, our community rose to the challenge, adopting new technologies, techniques, and mindsets. Because of your unwavering commitment to helping our students succeed, we were able to pivot to alternative delivery in just 1 week and roll out online support services shortly thereafter. Throughout the summer, we've continued to improve on our ability to deliver quality education and services online, providing additional PD support for faculty through the Teaching and Learning Exchange, and introducing more online services capabilities. We've aimed for continuous improvement and are confident that the summer experience was better than winter and that fall will be even better than summer. We worked hard to enable a focused reopening of some lab spaces this summer to support stranded students. That is, those students who couldn't graduate until they completed some hands-on learning in their labs. Thanks to intensive cross-college collaboration, these stranded students were brought safely back to campus this summer, including the Center for Construction and Engineering students pictured on screen. In the time that we've all been working from home, employees from across the college have embraced new ways of connecting and sharing ideas. Over the course of 90 days, our employees organized nearly 23,000 video meetings and exchanged more than 125,000 messages on Teams. You've stepped outside your comfort zones, built new skills, and brought your biggest and best ideas to work. And you did all of this while juggling competing priorities at home, including childcare, elder care, and keeping yourselves safe and healthy. I know this hasn't been an easy spring and summer, but when you read a tweet like this, the affirmation of a job well done must feel very rewarding. I'm incredibly proud of what you've achieved individually and what we've achieved together. I hope you are too. I know that we don't always take the time to say thank you and congratulations, so I'd like to do that now. Thank you all for your dedication and hard work. Even in this time of great uncertainty, we've continued to live our LEAD values. We've remained learner-focused, bringing the full spectrum of student programs and services online as quickly and efficiently as possible. We've maintained our commitment to excellence in ensuring that we meet our usual high standards for quality. We've stayed accountable, listening to feedback from students and adjusting as necessary. And we've continued our efforts to foster a diverse and inclusive George Brown community, whether we're on campus or online. To that end, I want to take a moment to recognize our newly renamed Anti-Racism, Equity, and Human Rights Services team and the work they've been leading this summer. This includes the launch of George Brown's anti-racism strategy, the development of our Anti-Racism Advisory Committee framework, and the creation of an awareness campaign and employee training on anti-Black racism. These actions, along with many others, will help guide the way towards eliminating systemic barriers and becoming a truly equitable and inclusive institution. On a related note, I'm pleased to announce that the college has hired a Director of Indigenous Initiatives who will start next week. This role was created to oversee college-wide reconciliation efforts as we enhance our institutional focus on anti-racism and Indigenous issues. As our community has demonstrated in countless throughout the pandemic, George Brown's greatest strength is its people. So, today I'd like to celebrate the outstanding contributions of our employees and take a look at how these efforts are leading the way towards Strategy 2022 and Vision 2030. As you may recall, when we launched the new vision and strategy at last year's GB Connects, we talked about adopting an innovative and collaborative mindset for the future. Well, that future came a lot quicker than anticipated. In recent months, faculty, support staff, and administrators have worked together to tackle one of the largest challenges our college has ever faced. Together, we've developed new ways of supporting our students, our community, and each other. And I think it's fair to say that collaboration and innovation have led the way. Think about how our community came together to fundraise for the COVID-19 Student Emergency Fund and emergency good food boxes, donate fresh produce to Second Harvest, and get laptops, iPads, and Wi-Fi hubs into the hands of students who needed them. Or the contributions our Centre for Health Sciences made to local hospitals, donating vital PPE and medical equipment at a time when both were in short supply. Or how about the launch of virtual student services, including online tutoring and video and chat-based counseling that allowed learners to get the support they needed in these stressful times. And then, of course, there were the Herculean efforts that went into creating new online learning modules in record time. While these initiatives were born out of necessity, many will enhance how we serve our community for years to come. In fact, in many ways, our response to COVID-19 has helped accelerate our plans to enhance digitization at George Brown. Consider our 2022 priority of optimizing students' blended learning experience with next-generation teaching and learning methods. We've certainly seen plenty of next-generation ideas take center stage recently. For instance, when clinical placements for nursing students were put on hold due to the pandemic, students used virtual gaming simulations to continue their experiential learning. This image is taken directly from the simulation program. As you can see, the games incorporate video footage of actors portraying patients and their loved ones, replicating a real-life patient care dynamic. These educational games, which allow learners to practice making clinical decisions in a safe, virtual environment, were played 100,000 times in March and April alone. Meanwhile, our chef school faculty made hands-on educational videos for their lessons, then asked students to record their own. I had the chance to watch several of the student videos and was blown away by the quality. Not only did students demonstrate their mastery of culinary techniques, many also captioned and edited their videos. The adaptability, enthusiasm, and professionalism demonstrated by faculty and students alike was truly inspiring. And for the fall, new demonstration videos recorded by faculty this summer will no doubt set a new standard of excellence. Examples like these, and so many others across the college, demonstrate capacity to lead in the digital age as we empower lifelong learners who imagine possibilities and embrace change. For George Brown and for post-secondary education as a whole, the pandemic has emphasized the need to be agile and responsive. The world around us is changing faster and more dramatically than any of us could have imagined. We must be prepared to pivot, adapt, and refine our plans. Now more than ever before, a collaborative and innovative mindset is essential. While the pandemic has challenged us all, it has also shown that we were on the right track with our vision and strategy. We must stay the course and keep our long term goals in mind, even as we deal with immediate uncertainty. Although much has changed in the past several months, our purpose as a college has not. We're here to turn learning into opportunity. This work is especially vital right now as we prepare the next generation of healthcare and community workers, city builders, business leaders, and more. Workers who will be essential to Ontario's economic and social recovery from COVID-19. And speaking of our graduates, I'd like to take a moment to point out the fantastic Snapchat filter that our design students made to help their peers celebrate virtually this summer. To ensure that George Brown remains as responsive and nimble as possible on the road to Strategy 2022 and Vision 2030, we're focusing on the following major initiatives in the immediate term. First, program optimization. We're committed to creating accessible, inclusive, and high-quality learning experiences for our students, while also looking at the big picture and evaluating the effectiveness of what and how we teach. Second, online learning. By enhancing our digital infrastructure and expertise, we'll strengthen our ability to be there for learners, whether they're here in the GTA or around the world. And third, flexible delivery. By offering more flexible delivery of both academic offerings and student services, we'll be able to provide a more personalized student experience with improved and expanded choice. All of our major initiatives support our strategic commitments for 2022, which remain as follows: future skills, fostering connections, continuing to evolve new ways of teaching and learning, and the many building blocks that will be our foundations for success. I know that it's sometimes challenging to connect these big picture strategic commitments to the work being done at the college every day. So I've invited a number of George Brown employees and students to speak to us about the projects they're working on and how these are helping us achieve our objectives. We'll now hear from a panel of students about how George Brown is helping them build future skills through work-integrated learning. Please welcome our moderator, Rebecca Tapiero, Project Coordinator, Work-Integrated Learning and Experiential Education, and our students. Ashley Demerol from our Human Resources Management Postgraduate Program, and Jacob Rajan from our Information Systems Business Analysis Program.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Anne, for the introduction. And thank you, Jacob and Ashley, for joining us today to share what your virtual WIL experience was like this past spring. WIL refers to work integrated learning, and it is an umbrella term which incorporates all types of work placements, internships, practicums, and field placements. To provide you with context, by mid-March of this year, many of our students had secured a traditional on-site WIL placement, but by the end of March, these placements had to be canceled due to COVID-19 safety measures. The good news, however, is that the divisions were able to devise and implement solutions that would provide students with meaningful and impactful WIL opportunities, which would be online and remote, or what I refer to as virtual WIL. In addition, students were able to complete their WIL credit on time and also graduate. This past spring, Ashley worked as a policy development and HR intern for a charity named Iris the Dragon, and Jacob worked as a business analyst for GBC's Work Integrated Learning Office. So my first question for you, Ashley, is what were some of the obstacles and challenges that you faced in starting and completing a virtual WIL opportunity, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, Hi, Rebecca. Good to be here. I think at the beginning, I was concerned about how to become part of the team. In a virtual work environment, a newcomer is basically only a square on a computer screen. It seems easier to integrate yourself in a physical work setting. But after 2, 3 meetings, it's easier to connect. I have to add that my supervisor was very helpful, and we also had a mini virtual party, which was fun. So, with time and opportunity for interaction, even if it's short, it does become easy to be part of an organization.
That's love the fact that they were welcoming and they provided you with that virtual will party. That's amazing. And how about for yourself, Jacob? How did you overcome some of those challenges?
Rebecca, the main challenge we faced was the virtual nature of the work itself. Even though we worked on assignments remotely, this was the first time we worked completely online without any kind of in-person component. So due to that, we felt we were losing focus initially. Back on track, we started arranging stand-up calls on regular intervals. So these stand-up calls will be short meetings where we talk about what each one of us are working on and if there are any roadblocks, things like that. So in case if there are any issues with some task, we will assign more people to it. And by doing all these, we were able to make the best out of our virtual internship. And finally, we were able to working prototype to the college.
Thank you. That's great feedback. We're going to be with teams of students again this fall. So that's great. Thank you, Jacob. And Jacob, what do you feel you gained from this virtual experience that you may not have gained from a traditional on-site placement?
If it were a traditional workplace, I could ask my immediate neighbor in case I get stuck up in work at some point. But in this case, my team may not be available at that time. Due to this, I would research from my end and I will try to come up with a solution. So this helped me learn more than what I would have learned if I got the solution right away. Another advantage I can think of is some of our teammates were full-time employees, and this virtual work offered them great flexibility, and we could work even during weekends and evenings. So this gave everyone the opportunity to equally contribute to the success of the project.
That's great. I'm glad you were all able to come together to make it work. And how about for yourself, Asli? What did you gain from this virtual experience?
I think this working from home experience improved my ability for self management, including taking more responsibility for my well being. I easily forget the time when I start working in a physical environment. Sometimes you have lunch breaks, there is a co-worker stopping by for a chat, but at work it can take long hours without moving. So this virtual experience taught me to be more disciplined about maintaining a balance and being in control of my own breaks. I think that was a major learning for me.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that COVID-19 has given a whole new meaning to work-life balance for sure. And Asli, what do you think your virtual experience, how do you think that virtual experience will help you with your future career?
Well, this was the very first time that I worked for a charity, and it is a new business model for me. I learned about a lot of regulations that are specific to a charity, the ways of operations. So it opened up a new industry, a new sector for me that I now can consider for future employment. And I'm definitely more used to use the technology aspect now, and this gives me the skills to consider work opportunities with non-traditional work schedules. So these are two things that I really learned from this experience.
That's great. I think I can also attest to the fact that this whole COVID-19 disruption has definitely improved my digital fluency as well. And how about for you, Jacob? How do you think this virtual experience will help you with your future career?
I consider this opportunity as a training for the future workplace. Due to COVID, most of the jobs, IT jobs, has gone virtual. Even before this, the multinational corporations, which follow an on-site offshore delivery model, were operating in a similar fashion with teams working remotely across the globe in different time zones, things like that. But with the experience gained from this internship, I feel I will not be having any surprises when I start working for these organizations, and I will be able to work with great confidence, even if the job is remote.
For sure. I think we're all getting used to this whole virtual new world. Thank you so much again, Jacob and Ashley, for sharing your inspiring experiences and
Thank
stories
you.
with us. On behalf of Georgetown College, I want to wish you continued success with your future career path. Thank you again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next, we'll hear an example of how we're moving forward on our strategic commitment to connections. Please welcome Kizzy Bedeau, Director of the Community Partnerships Office, who will tell us more about the college's new syndicate approach to partnerships.
Good morning, everyone. Boy, oh boy, are these unprecedented times. But I must agree with Anne that it is collaboration and innovation that is leading the way in this age of disruption. Disruption surrounds us in terms of the way we live, work, and learn. And I know this personally because I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old disrupting my household, but I make it through. And the only way that we can thrive is to come together because the do it alone approach just won't cut it in this climate. So, as an educational institution, we need to seek new connections for us to realize our goals, stay relevant, compete, and ensure access to education remains our focus. And for us to accomplish that, we need to be flexible, we need to be nimble, and we need to be personalized. Next slide, please. So many of us at the college are doing great work in the partnership space at varying degrees. And we all likely have had hundreds, maybe even thousands of key partners that are helping drive our respective work forward every day. But I also want to recognize that our partnership work is broadly dispersed across the college. So over the last 12 months, we have been more deliberate in our focus in developing high impact opportunities with our community and industry partners. And so our goal is to seek several high yield partnerships that embrace 6 key characteristics. So these would be partnerships that are mutually beneficial and provide relevance back to the college and to the partner. That provide maybe a high impact offering, whether it be a work integrated learning opportunity, a research opportunity, or maybe a student employment opportunity. As well, we're hoping these partnerships are interconnected at all levels so that our faculty are engaged, our students are involved, our community members are consulted, and our partners, our industry partners, are at the table. And lastly, the key characteristic is that they're multi-year or sustainable and ongoing in some way. Next slide, please. So we thought it would make some sense to bring together a committee to help us better coordinate our response. So the syndicate is really just a fancy word for committee that is made up of a broad cross-section of individuals representing different areas of the college to help us intentionally pool our resources and expertise. So the objective of the syndicate is not to dictate how partnerships should work, but instead to leverage our networks in order to seek more of those high-performing partners. So within the syndicate, we hope to focus on partnerships that, again, generate the greatest value back to the college. We also want to communicate and collaborate more frequently with others across the college who are deeply involved in this partnership work. And how we want to figure out how we can better triage new opportunities for collaboration. And also share in our successes as we celebrate our outcomes. I know there are many untold stories as it relates to partnership development. So now I know there are many meaningful ways we are working with our partners, but today I want to talk about one way we're doing this. We're currently testing the relevance and impact of what we're calling our Rapid Skills Incubator to deepen our connections with our partners. So why this now? Well, in a nutshell, as I alluded to in my first slide, the current health crisis has intensified and created more urgency to what we already knew or what we have been doing. So we now know that there is a more urgent need to connect our learners with new skills and tools to help them rebound in this new environment. And we also know that they want this information very fast. We also know that our businesses and industry partners also may need some assistance as they pivot in new directions in this post-COVID world. So the Rapid Skills Incubator is just one way for us to respond as we meet the needs of our students and also to help us attract new partners. The incubator will offer short, affordable, and relevant learning opportunities for those that may have lost their jobs or are looking to upskill or reskill, and maybe for businesses that need to adapt to the changes that have resulted from this pandemic. I also want to highlight a key element of the incubator in attracting new partners, which is our ability as a college to rapidly develop online courses that are co-designed and co-delivered with our partners. So I want to pause here to show you a short video about one of our high impact partners that we have been engaged with over the last 12 to 18 months.
In 2020, Global DWS and George Brown College are proud to celebrate 1 year of successful partnership. Over the past year, we have worked together to empower the students of today with the dynamic skills and tools that will enable their success in the workplace of tomorrow. Here's how we're collaborating. Georgie is GBC's very own service robot. Georgie's role on campus as an information platform allows students to access school news, program updates, and community announcements. The newly launched Certificate in Service Robotics introduces students to this emerging industry and explores a variety of business applications. GBC is the exclusive platinum educational partner for RoboCon, the world's first global hackathon on service robotics, hosted virtually from October 2nd to 5th, 2020. From our entire team at Global DWS, thank you, GBC, for your contributions to this high-impact partnership. Here's to many more successes in our collaborative future.
So it was back in 2019 that we began our partnership with Global DWS, who is a leader in Canadian innovation specializing in service robots. But since the introduction of Georgie, our partnership has evolved, embracing those 6 characteristics I spoke about earlier. So now we have engaged this partner in our Rapid Skills Incubator pilot through the co-creation of a ConEd Service Robotics Certificate, which has just been launched. And as noted in the video, we are the exclusive educational partner of their upcoming RoboCon. But I also want to note, more recently, we are now supporting their multi-million-dollar government grant to help in the design and build of robots to fight COVID-19. So in collaboration with them, we now have an opportunity to offer more and new and diverse work-integrated learning opportunities to deepen our engagement in product research and design. And we are currently working with them to hire a few of our students to work directly on this grant as an employment opportunity. So this is just one example of how we can begin to partner and engage in unique ways with our industry and our community partners, recognizing that not one size fits all, which I am very aware of, but we do hope that this can begin to leverage how we can engage our diverse partnerships and how we can grow our connections and be ready for the challenges and opportunities ahead. Now, I would like to invite everyone to pick up their phones or devices and go to menti.com and type in the code that you see on your screen. This will give me an opportunity to ask a couple of questions and elicit some of your feedback in terms of how we continue to move forward in delivering on this strategy piece, connections. So the first question, how would you like to learn more about our ongoing partnership work? So there's a few options here. Is it through stories or a website announcement? Maybe a year-end report, articles in @GBC, or a town hall. So it looks like the majority of you would like to hear more about this work through @GBC, which is an excellent platform that communicates very broadly to get that message out. And the second is through the website. So thank you very much for that. feedback. The next question was, what organizations or industry sectors do you think we can or should approach to partner with us? So we're just waiting for all of your wonderful answers to populate. So this one was open-ended, so it may take a little bit more time, but I'm sure there's some great responses coming through. Okay, so I'm sure that we'll be able to post what some of those responses were. So thank you all. That's it for my time. Thank you everyone for listening. And I very much want to continue this conversation, so we can do so at IGBC. Thank you all.
Now we'll hear from Megan Carter, the president of OPSU Local 557, which represents George Brown's full and part-time support staff.
Hi, I'm Megan Carter, President for Local 557 Support Staff. Under the theme of resilience, this year, the support staff have shown nothing but being resilient. This year has been extremely difficult for all of us, and we have shown the college that we are the backbone of this college. To all of the support staff members, you are doing a great job during a very difficult situation, and together we are strong. Nothing will break the bond of the local, and we'll continue to fight the good fight for all of you. To support staff, I salute you. For the members we have lost along the way, you have not been forgotten, and we will continue to advocate for your return. I am going to stay hopeful that the college will flourish once again and support staff roles will return. Until then, let's stay strong and remember who you are as a person, and we will remember who we are as a local. Sending my deepest respect to all of you, the support staff.
Now I'm delighted to welcome faculty facilitator Nikki Monahan to share how the TLX 2.0 is helping us adopt new ways of teaching and learning.
Thanks so much, Anne. And I'm delighted to be here this morning as an ambassador from the TLX team to share some of the ways in which we're committed to supporting our college's strategic vision. This time last year, we gathered in person for the launch of Strategy 2022 and Vision 2030. One of the pillars of Strategy 2022, New Ways of Teaching and Learning, is a key outcome of the work of the TLX. Every member of the TLX team is committed to supporting faculty to embrace evidence-based pedagogical innovation. And in the fall of 2019, I was excited about that focus of our work in the academic year ahead. But as my mother used to say, be careful what you wish for, it might come true. When the COVID pandemic hit, we had no option but to embrace new ways of teaching and learning. As the saying goes, every crisis creates opportunity. So the first key challenge for the TLX in the spring of last year was to support emergency remote delivery and ensure that our faculty were able to help as many students as possible to successfully complete the spring term. And as they always do, our faculty stepped up. And we were there to help manage the crisis. So I'm going to invite you again to pick up your cell phone. You maybe are already logged into Mentimeter. Take a look at the code that's on the screen, and I want you to think back to the beginning of that lockdown at a time of great change and ask yourself this question: how do you personally respond to change? I love it. I like it. It's tolerable. I don't like it. I really don't like it. And let's see how these responses come in. Many of us have different approaches to dealing with change. And we've had a lot of change in the last little while. So we could back up to the last Mentimeter. We're one ahead of us, and maybe go on to the next slide. So the TLX had to respond to change, and the TLX's emergency response to our change in delivery of education was a puzzle piece with lots of interlocking pieces and a case study in collaboration. We developed an academic continuity website with links to resources and critical contact information. Our colleagues in ELTI with ITS support offered hundreds of hours of Blackboard training, and we ensured that faculty knew about and had easy access to that training. We developed a short course on online teaching and learning, which created a strong community of learners committed to making a rapid and skillful shift to remote learning. Deans, chairs, and faculty members reached out to us for group and one-to-one consultations and coaching. And discussions on the TLX team site exploded. There, we responded to questions just in time and facilitated conversations about new strategies, new tools, and new approaches to assessment, teaching, and learning. The TLX team site became a go-to virtual space where faculty collaboration and group problem solving flourished. With the spring and summer semesters behind us and a decision for the fall semester to be once again primarily off campus, our second challenge has emerged. How can we ensure that the high quality learning experiences that George Brown students have come to expect be delivered through online learning? And we're rediscovering more and more each day that many of our students' learning environments are not nearly as ideal as this image would suggest. We're committed to supporting student learning in the context of accessibility, with an awareness that many of our students are dealing with inadequate technology, limited internet capability, family responsibilities, domestic violence, economic uncertainties, as well as the anxieties that all of us face daily in the pandemic world. These realities are not new, but they present themselves in new ways, and they're part of the ongoing challenges that we're responding to. And so we're committed to a more sustained approach with a forward-reaching focus. Once again, our response involves many moving parts. The TLX has expanded into TLX 2.0, and the additional resources that we've received have allowed us to bring on new associates to address the continued demand for support for online course development. This summer's Course Builders Summer Institute quickly reached capacity. Multiple sections were added, and hundreds of faculty worked throughout the summer to improve their ability to effectively deliver e-learning experiences. So what's next? If this pandemic has taught us anything, it's that the future is uncertain, and collectively, we need to build our capacity to live with, work with, and facilitate teaching and learning in uncertain times. Next slide, please. So TLX 2.0 continues to increase its capacity to meet the current and future needs of our faculty members and our learners. This fall, we will expand once again with program champions embedded across all of the Centers for Learning. These champions will inform divisional faculty of upcoming events and act as first responders to their faculty to support their pedagogical and instructional design needs. And any faculty member can reach out via tlx@georgebrown.ca at any time and be connected with a TLX team member. With certainty and uncertainty, with certainty, a certainty, and with the exploration of new modes of delivery, online, hybrid, virtual reality, simulations, gaming, and who knows what's yet to come, a critical factor for our collective success is to embrace flexibility and support our learners' capacity to do the same. New ways of teaching and learning encourages us to embrace new tools. In the year ahead, faculty will continue to explore, innovate, and adapt. In just the past 2 semesters, our faculty have taken risks and courageously experimented with new tools through video development, virtual reality, simulations, and there's more to come. There will always be new tools, but at the heart of teaching and learning are our relationships with our students. And so, as we begin a new academic year, let's keep our focus on our learners, how to engage them, how to inspire them, how to motivate them, how to measure their successes and support them in their struggles, because it's our graduates who will be the creative problem solvers to lead our way to a better world. TLX 2.0 is here to support you to develop and sustain student-focused learning experiences to help make that happen. Let's make it a great year, no matter what comes our way. And so again, I'd like you to turn to your personal device and take a look at our next Mentimeter question. So whether you are admin, support staff, or faculty, in a few words, how will you engage, motivate, and inspire our students this fall? Beautiful. I love to see that. Support, flexibility, listening. These are fantastic. Energy. Ongoing communication. These are brilliant ideas. Thank you so much. I look forward to everyone having an amazing year, and the TLX is really here to serve and to respond to your students' learning needs. Make it a great semester.
For our final presentation today, we'll take a look at how we're building foundations for success. Please welcome Alison Burns, Manager, Divisional Integration and Strategic Initiatives, and Andrea Jones, Business Transformation, Office of the Registrar, to tell us about the RISE project.
Thank you, Anne, and good morning, all. Strategy 2022 challenges us to create the optimal conditions for student success by creating a culture of continuous improvement and operational excellence with students at its center. Enter Project RISE, or Reimagining Student Experience. This initiative is all about making George Brown services easy and relevant for students so they can successfully navigate college, graduate, and go on to make amazing contributions to their industries, communities, and the world. When they arrive at GBC, every student deserves a welcoming environment, answers to their questions, and opportunities to build community. Along the way, they need tools to support their learning and well-being, and co-curricular experiences to build their skills. They also need resources to develop their careers and guidance to troubleshoot any challenges that arise along the way. We want students to have the best possible college experience at every step, and George Brown will lead the way in creating this experience. Take a moment to imagine yourself as a new student. You are flooded with questions. Is GBC the right fit for me? What's the best program? When do I register for courses and apply for OSAP? Where can I get academic accommodations for my disability? Where can I get support to develop my career? These are just a few of the many, many questions and needs students have in their GBC journeys. So we all have students' best interests at heart. Yet despite our best efforts to set students up for success, we know their service experiences are not always optimal. And we know it's frustrating as a student to not know where to turn, to get bounced around, or to have to repeat your story multiple times to get the help you need. Indeed, students don't always get the information and advising they need to make informed decisions. They may also experience long wait times, red tape, gaps in service, access issues, or have inconsistent experiences across our service areas. Now, before we explain how RISE will address these gaps, we want to invite you to reflect on your own service experiences.
Hi, everyone. As Allison mentioned, we would value your thoughts on a recent service experience. Once again, go to menti.com and use the code on your screen. Think about a service experience you had that really impressed you. What made it stand out the most? We've identified some qualities that may have made it an outstanding experience for you. And in fact, these are elements that have been built into many of the goals and objectives of our Project RISE initiatives. It looks like personalization and outcomes. Let's see. Yeah, outcomes and personalization seem to be two of the qualities that had the biggest impact, which is actually no surprise. And it aligns with the work that is currently underway with the RISE project. And we also know from speaking to our students that this is what they also expect from George Brown services and supports. Thanks very much for providing your input today. We also wanted to encourage all of you to let us know more about your positive service experiences and how we might translate those elements into optimizing service experiences at the college. We can continue this dialogue through igbc.ca, and President Ann Sato will be speaking more about this in her closing remarks.
So there is zero doubt that innovation lives and breathes at George Brown. And what better illustration of this than the incredible pivot GBC employees across our service areas have made to achieve full online delivery of resources and support since the COVID-19 pandemic hit. And yet, RISE calls on us to go even further. Currently, many of our innovations are happening in our own corners of the college in a fragmented way. But imagine the powerful positive impact we could have on students' experience if we join forces to simplify the service journey for them. This is the vision of RISE, to connect the dots, to create integrated, streamlined, and meaningful student service experiences across our institution. So how are we doing this? Through a series of process improvement projects, the first of which is reimagining student navigation and advising. So over the summer, a project team of 12 employees and students met intensively for 8 weeks to develop a transformed vision for student navigation and advising at George Brown. The team identified pain points, best practices, and ideas from over 50 stakeholders across the college, including student focus groups. They conducted research into best practices across higher education and other sectors. They identified relevant technologies already in use at the college that could be integrated or leveraged in new ways. The project team just wrapped up their work, and the final report and recommendations are being drafted. These recommendations will guide the transformation of navigation and advising processes beginning this fall. This will be the first step towards achieving our vision of a personalized, seamless, flexible, and empowered student experience.
Now, what will this transformation mean for our students? While we're still early in the process, as the initiative progresses, we expect to see students get what they need, when they need it, how they need it. We also anticipate they will have more options and choice from start to finish, feel supported by and connected to the George Brown community, know what to expect from advising and other services, navigate simple, clearly articulated, and transparent policies and procedures, develop their human skills, academic goals, and career readiness, and finally, experience equity and well-being during their college journey. And by simplifying processes and enriching students' experiences, Project Rise also makes our jobs as employees easier. It frees us to work more efficiently and effectively, empowering us with the tools and knowledge we need at our fingertips to support students' well-being and their academic and career success. Now, we'd like to take a moment to express our appreciation to everyone who has contributed to the amazing momentum of Project Rise to date. There has been great energy and commitment to supporting our students, and we've gained valuable insights to shape our path forward. We look forward to engaging with more of you in the future. So we're calling on all of you to rise to the occasion and get involved with Project Rise by contributing to igbc.ca, participating in future projects, and supporting our journey to reimagine student experience. We look forward to sharing more results with you in the future as we start to implement solutions and achieve our transformation. If you have any questions about this initiative or would like more information, please feel free to contact myself or Allison. Thank you.
Strategic commitments. While we are only able to hear about a few projects today, there is an abundance of innovation and collaboration happening all across George Brown College, and each one of you is essential to these efforts. Now, I do understand, as luck would have it, that we did have a few streaming problems at the beginning of the presentations, but I understand that the recording is clear if you want to hear it, and more importantly, that everything was fixed and that you heard from our most important presenters, the students and our various employees, hopefully clearly for most of the presentation. For more than 50 years, George Brown College has adapted to meeting the changing needs of the community and the labor market. And as the pace of change speeds up, this becomes increasingly important. While 2020 has been a particularly turbulent year, we know that the rapid change we're facing is not limited to the pandemic. Even before COVID-19, we are seeing seismic change in the way people work, live, and learn. And as we move forward, there will be new challenges to overcome and new opportunities to explore. Our success as a college hinges on our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to imagine the possibilities of post-secondary education. We all have an essential role to play in achieving our goals and advancing the college's vision and strategy. This begins with stepping outside our individual comfort zones and exploring some big questions. For instance, how might you become more innovative today or more collaborative? What processes, policies, or support would you need to make this shift? What if we went from maintaining the status quo to asking, how could we do this better? I think all of these behavioral shifts could lead us to a new place where we move from waiting to be told what to do to asking, how can we all make a difference? On that note, I'd like to invite all of you to join the conversation on our ideation platform, igbc.ca. It's a place where you can share ideas, ask thought-provoking questions, and help us reimagine the future of George Brown. Before I close, I want to commend you again for the many ways you've been supporting our students and each other as we navigate these uncertain times together. You've demonstrated remarkable resilience, adaptability, and problem solving. As we kick off the fall semester, I have no doubt that even more collaboration and innovation will emerge from our community. Thank you, and have a great fall semester.